Hello, welcome to Carnegie Mellon University's Python Programming 1 course during the summer of 2023. My name is John Ostlund and I'm going to be your professor for this course. I'd like to start out by looking through the syllabus for the course so that we all understand what is expected of you and what the various deadlines and requirements are and so on. Now I have multiple monitors on my machine, so it's going to appear to you that I'm turning away from you for a moment here because I have my syllabus on a different screen, and we'll take a look at that together. Okay. So, Carnegie Mellon uses a software package called Canvas to provide administrative support for courses. You should receive an invitation to join Canvas for this course, Python. Well, the short name is Python 1 2023. The more elaborate name is course number 90812, Python Programming 1 in 2023. You will receive an invitation to join this course, to join the Canvas access to this course in the next day or two when I publish this course. Okay. When you access Canvas, the first thing you will see is the syllabus. I, as I mentioned, am this guy, John Ostlund, and you can reach me by email either at my official Carnegie Mellon email address, jostlund@andrew.cmu.edu, or my personal email address, jkostlund@gmail.com. I'm going to be available to you as much as I possibly can. I'm typically available between 10 in the morning and 9 o'clock in the evening, 7 days a week. Unless I happen to be traveling, and then I may be very difficult to reach. And for this summer course, you'll be able to reach me by email. I'll also set up a Zoom meeting for office hours that you can talk to me through. Speaking of office hours will be held for this course by Zoom. And because people in this course are spread quite literally all around the world, I'll have office hours both in the evening each Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is U.S. Eastern Daylight Time, so that may be 1 hour different from what you're accustomed to as far as communicating with the U.S. All right, so that's my evening office hours on Sunday. And then I will also have morning office hours on Monday from 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time until 11 a.m. I hope that one of those office hour time intervals will work for you, depending on where you happen to be and what your time zone is. We will have an online final exam for this course, and that final exam will be held, will be held on Friday, August 4th. There is not a specific time for the exam. You can take the exam at the time of your choosing, but you must take it on Friday, August 4th. I will have possibly 2 or 3 teaching assistants whose primary job is to help me grade homework assignments, but you should also feel free to email questions to them about the homework or about the class material or anything else. It is optional for them to decide whether they wish to hold office hours. I leave that up to each of my TAs to decide. Okay. Let's take a look at the description of the course. We're going to do the fundamentals of computer programming, very basic kinds of programming using the Python 3.x programming language. We happen to be using, in this course, Python 3.10, and the version of Python that we'll be using specifically is that's provided as part of the Anaconda package, Anaconda version 2023.03. So this is a package of software including Python and all kinds of libraries and editors and so forth that was released in March earlier this year in 2023. We assume that you have little, if any, programming knowledge. If you do have some programming knowledge, obviously this course will be easier for you than for people who have very little or no programming. Our desire here is for it to help you to enable problem-solving skills, primarily using what's called top-down procedural programming. That is, you start out with a problem that you're trying to solve, you break that problem into a series of steps, and then you break each one of those major steps into a series of sub-steps, and you typically write what's called a function or a procedure to handle each of those sub-steps. And after you've handled all of the sub-steps one by one, you will have accomplished your overall goal. We will have homework assignments each week. We will also have some quizzes every couple of weeks, and we will have a final exam at the end of the course. We will do a little bit of introduction to object-oriented programming in the course, but frankly, because we expect that you don't have much in the way of prior programming experience, and it takes a while to just build the foundation that is necessary to make sense of what object-oriented programming is, we're not really going to get very far into that. But for small to medium-sized programs where you need to acquire some information from somewhere, process that information in some useful way, and then produce some results for some human being to look at, that is the goal that we have for our course. All right, I already mentioned Anaconda 2023.03. I recommend that you watch my installation video to see how to go about installing Anaconda and setting up easy access to Python. I've also listed some sources of documentation and some worthwhile books about Python. The documentation, obviously, is free. It is very good, but it is also dense. And until you gain some experience with programming, you may find the documentation challenging to wring much knowledge out of. But this Python tutorial is very useful. I'm not going to require you to buy a book. Some of the better books are actually available for free online, either directly through the Carnegie Mellon University Library or for free on the web. 20% of your course grade is going to depend on your performance on the weekly homework assignments. 35% will depend on your performance on online quizzes, and 45% will depend on your performance on the final exam. For each of the weekly homework assignments, you're going to be assigned as a member of a team of 2 or sometimes 3 people. I try to create teams of 2 people, but if I have an odd number of students, necessarily I have one team of 3 people. And what you should plan to do is do as much of the homework assignment as you can yourself, and then 1 or 2 days prior to the submission deadline, compare what you did with what your other team members did and decide among yourselves what finished solution you would like to submit on behalf of the team. Typically, if both of you have produced a good solution, you can flip a coin and just submit one version or the other. If you feel that one person's solution is stronger than the other person's, then you can submit the stronger of the two solutions. You should always feel free anytime you get stuck on anything or anytime you have any question about anything to do with the homework or the material. Speak to your teammate, speak to any other students in the course, speak to friends that you have who know Python. You can talk to anybody that you want to. In my courses, I don't consider homework to be something that you can only do and must do individually on your own. Homework is for learning in my the way I look at the world, and so to get the most out of the homework, struggle with it yourself, and then if you get stuck or have questions or wonder whether there might be a better way to do something, please talk to your teammates, other students, other people. You can communicate with the TAs. You can communicate with me and get our opinions about how to approach things. Now, in your team, whether there's two people in the team or three people, just one member of the team should submit a zip archive containing the one or more Python source code files required by your homework assignment, and submit that on behalf of the entire team. Now, the way Canvas works, when one of you submits the homework assignment for the team, the other member of the team won't get any feedback that the homework has been submitted. So you're simply going to have to trust each other in your team that the person designated has in fact submitted the homework. And then when the TAs grade the submitted homework assignment during the week or so following the submission deadline, everybody in the team will get the same score. To get an A on a homework assignment, you need to score 90 points or better out of a total of 100 points. All right? Now, 90 points, given that you have a teammate to work with, given that you can talk to anybody that you want to, you can also use online resources, you can Google for things, you can use Stack Overflow, whatever. We fully expect that everybody is going to get an A on every homework. Okay, so I wish you success as far as getting your A on each homework assignment. I do not differentiate in terms of grades between a score of 90 or a score of 100. That is, any score of 90 or better is an A. And so, if you submit homework and you get a score of 92, let's say, that's an A. You should not freak out and think, oh, well, I really need to get a 98 or I really need to get 100. No, 92 is an A, and an A is the best grade that I give on homework assignments. So relax, enjoy your life, move on to the next homework. There are also going to be labs associated with each lecture, and these are simply things that you can try. These are not graded. I publish the solutions to the labs at the same time as the labs. I encourage you to try the labs yourself and then look at the solutions to see how well you did. And these are very useful for practicing your Python. Each week's material has a quiz associated with it, which you do need to pass. And when I say pass, ideally, that means that you will get an A on each of these quizzes. Now, on the quizzes, it is possible to not achieve an A, but you will have 4 chances to take each of these quizzes. And to get an A on a quiz, you need to score 87.5% or better of the total points. Some quizzes have more points than others, so I don't have a fixed point count that you have to achieve to get an A. You need to get 87.5% of whatever the maximum point count is on each of the quizzes. If you fail to get an A the first time you take a quiz, you can take the quiz again, but you're only allowed to take each quiz 1 time per day. So if you take a quiz on Monday and don't quite get your A, you won't be allowed to take that quiz again on Monday. You'll have to wait until Tuesday morning and try the quiz again then. My strong preference is that if you're unable to pass a quiz, you should do some reviewing and then try to take the quiz again. I don't want to see people taking a quiz and failing and then just kind of rolling the dice and trying to take the quiz again without doing any studying in the hopes that you'll get lucky. So that's why I restrict you to just taking each quiz 1 time per day. I generally reset the quiz availability each morning, sometime between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you do take a quiz on Monday afternoon, that doesn't mean that you'll be able to take the quiz again at 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday, because I won't have reset the quiz counters yet. You'll need to wait. You'll need to wait until I wake up in the morning and consume some caffeine and reset the quiz opportunities. And that's, as I said, usually between 8 and 9 in the morning. All right. Now, the quizzes are randomly generated from a large question base. So it's very unlikely the second time that you take a quiz on a certain topic that you will get exactly the same questions. So you do really need to review the topic if you're unable to pass a quiz, so that the next time you take a quiz on the same topic, you'll have a better chance of getting your A. The final exam is going to be like a long quiz. Basically, it's a 1.5-hour quiz instead of a shorter quiz. And you must take the final exam sometime during the day on August 4th, Friday, August 4th. You'll have a 24-hour time interval during that day, during which you can take the exam. Unlike the quizzes, you will only have 1 opportunity to take the final exam. So do reviewing, take the final exam very seriously, and do your best on the final. Now, I do not give any A pluses on homeworks or quizzes. I do give A pluses to the very top performers on the final exam. So it is possible to get an A plus for the course, but in order to do that, you do have to get an A plus on the final exam, and you will also have had to achieved A's on virtually all, if not all, of the homework assignments and the quizzes as well. Okay, now Hines College assigns these so-called QPA or GPA points to each of the possible grades. So A plus is worth 4.33 points, A is worth 4.00 points, etc. And these are the points that will be associated with each grade that you get on a homework or a quiz or the final exam. So let's suppose that you get A's on all of your homework and quiz grades. And on the final exam, you get an A- grade. Okay, that means that 20% of your grade will be from the homework, so you get 0.2 times the 4.0. 35% of your grade will be from the quizzes, so that's 0.35 times 4.0. And then 45% of your grade will be from the A- that you got on the final exam. Now, if you compute that weighted sum, that works out to 3.8515. And I actually round grades rather than truncating. So you might see this 3.85 and be discouraged that you didn't get an A. But actually, and the cutoff for an A in my class is the midpoint between the 4.0 and the 3.67. So you have to get 3. What is it? So there's a 0.33 difference, a 0.165 difference, 165. So you have to get 3.835 or better to get an A, and 3.85 is better than 3.835, and consequently, if you got that kind of score, if you got A's on all of your homework assignments and quizzes, and you got an A- on the final, that would still be worth an A for the course grade. Okay? Now, to get an A+ for the course grade, your QPA average computed this way has to be strictly greater than 4. And the only possible way to do that is to get an A+ on the final and get almost entirely A's on everything else. Okay, I hope that's reasonably understandable. You can obviously ask me questions about it if you have questions. I'm not going to go through these week by week objectives. Here is the Heinz College grading scale that applies to quizzes in the final exam by default. However, you should consider this grading scale to be the most strict grading scale that I might apply to quizzes of the final exam. If I give an exam that's very difficult, so that the topmost score that anybody gets is, let's say, 85% of the total points, then by definition, I will make that top 85% score be an A+, and I will create a gentler curve than this very strict curve down from that 85% score. So this is the most strict curve that you might face on a quiz or a final exam. Well, in fact, I've already said that for quizzes, you only need to get 87.5% available points to get an A. And I don't give A+ on quizzes because I do give you 4 chances to take each quiz. So that's already, you just have to get 87.5% or better on a quiz to get an A. So this scale, this is the worst scale that might be applied to the final exam. Okay, here are what we'll talk about each week. Here are various deadlines for homework assignments and quizzes. I do want to point out that Quiz 1 is for the material that we covered during week 1. And you must pass Quiz 1 before midnight on Friday of week 2. Okay? So you will learn the material during week 1, and then you have basically 7 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, following week 1, to take quiz 1 up to 4 times if necessary to try to get your A. Now, if you fail to keep up with the quizzes, and if you don't either get an A or use all 4 of your attempts before the end of Friday, July 7, that's it. You won't get any more chances after Friday, July 7. In practical terms, what that means is you had better take the quiz for the first time no later than Tuesday, July 4th. Okay, because if you don't pass on July 4th, you'll be able to take it again once on the 5th, and then again once on the 6th, and then finally once on the 7th. But if you wait until after July 4th for your first attempt at quiz 1, you've basically thrown away an attempt at quiz 1, because after July 4, you only have 3 days left, and therefore only at most 3 chances left. All right. So, homework assignments are going to be due just before midnight each Monday. So, the first homework is going to be due before midnight on the Monday of the second week. And specifically, homework 1 is going to be due on Monday, July 3rd. Okay? And then subsequently each following Monday. There are 6 weeks in the course, but we only have time to do 5 homework assignments. The final homework assignment is going to be due on July 31st, and you will then have until the end of Friday to pass the quiz for the week 5 material, and then the final exam will occur during the 24-hour period, U.S. Eastern Daylight Time, on Friday, August 4th. Okay? One member of each homework team should submit a zip archive containing the team's solution, and you will lose points at a very rapid clip if you fail to submit on time. Okay? So if you are the person responsible for doing the submission, for heaven's sake, do it. Don't burn your teammate by forgetting to submit the homework on time. And without being too completely obnoxious, it's fair for your non-submitting teammate to nag you to make sure that you have submitted on time. All right. Well, I think that's all I want to read through or step through in the syllabus. The other things here are important, and you should read them, but I will allow you to read those for yourself. All right, so welcome to the course. Anytime you have any question about anything to do with the course, with the administration of the course, with the material in the course, with homeworks, whatever, feel free to send me an email message. I try to respond quickly, almost always within 24 hours, sometimes within minutes if I happen to be sitting at my computer at the time that you send me an email message. Never be concerned, that you're bothering me. I am here to help you, so please communicate with me whenever you feel like it. All right, take care. Welcome aboard.